Greetings, friends. Greetings from Sabil, Jerusalem. Greetings to everyone who has been participating and committed to doing the Kumi actions and being part of the Kumi program. This is like the third year this program has been taking part in an initiative from Sabil. And we're blessed with over 120 organizations that are actually part of it, and they promote it every now and then, or are very much committed in promoting it. Almost in the 3 years, it's very few weeks that we did not hold a certain event together. So it has been a blessing being part of this active movement that is committed to nonviolence, committed to education on Palestine, and committed on doing something about the terrible reality that we're living in under occupation. As you know, we have a government in Israel. It's one of the most extreme governments that Israel have ever had, with some angry politicians, if we want to put it like the least to say. Very extremist. Some of them have been actually banned or illegal and very controversial within Israel. Even the Israeli society has been very much active lately in holding demonstrations with tens of thousands of people who are trying to stop the changes, the legal changes that the new government is trying to undertake. Hopefully, we will be addressing them in Kumi, in a number of Kumi sessions later on. But today we have special guests with us, and I want to say thank you for. I mean, it's our good friend Cody. Cody has been the one who has really helped to make the connections, although we are all connected in one way or another here in Palestine. But Cody, through the Good Shepherds initiative, have been really wonderful in making the connection. So we have amazing a group of amazing people. Bana, who's Palestinian from Beit Sahur, but currently in Belfast, if I'm not mistaken. How are you, Bana? And can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me. This is Bana Abu Zuluf, currently in Belfast, actually, but I'm actually doing my PhD international law at the National University of Ireland, Maynooth, in the south, but currently in Belfast. Today it was snowing, quite a beautiful day. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited to speak and help, teach you a little bit about these settler organizations, the current government, and as well about the Defund Racism campaign.
Amazing, Bana. So you're doing your postgraduate, your PhD, yes? And you did your master's and your undergraduate where? In Palestine, or? Bana is, sorry, Yes, you can unmute yourself.
I'm unable to unmute myself, that's correct. Yeah, I'm doing my PhD currently in international law.
And where did you do your undergraduate?
I did it in Palestine, yeah.
Nice.
At Al-Quds University, Al-Quds Bard University.
Wonderful. So we also have Sami with us. Hi, Sami.
Hi, everyone.
Can you please introduce yourself, Sami, as it's in the tradition?
Yeah, for sure. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for hosting me tonight. So I am Sami Hureini. I'm 25 years old from a village in Musafir Yatta called Twani in the South Hebron Hills. I am a local organizer and activist. I'm the coordinator of a local here, a small youth group, which is called Youth of Sumud, a group of young activists active in the nonviolent resistance against the Israeli occupation. Our group was founded 5 years ago, and also we are getting close now to 6 years. 6 years that we founded our group. I am also a student of international law in Hebron University and graduating, hopefully, inshallah, all goes well on April.
Thank you so much, Sami and Bana, for being with us. And Cody, can you please unmute Cody, Ryan, if you can help? I'm having a problem. Cody?
Yeah, my name is Cody O'Rourke. I'm part of the Good Shepherd Collective, and I work with Bana and Sami here in Palestine.
Thank you very much, Cody. I have to admit, whenever I meet Cody, he's always busy and doing something. The first time I ever saw you, actually, it was at an ICAD building camp, and you were carrying stones, moving them. I'm rebuilding, I think, Beit Arabiya for the fourth time at that time it was. So thank you, Cody, for all of the work and the commitment that you're doing in Palestine, Israel, and for justice. So so the floor is yours, Bana and Sami. Please lead us.
All right. Sorry, I had just 1 second technical problem. I couldn't open the microphone. Now, okay, I can open it. Good evening again to everyone from Musafir Yatta. Today, I'm going to share some of the recent update about my area and what's happening here from the Israeli daily harassment and daily really hard and harsh policies by the Israeli occupation against us. Just generally, just public, general information. Musafir Yatta is an area located in the south of the West Bank, south of the South Hebron Hills, in the door of the Naqab to 48. My area has been targeted since for more than 40 years by the Israeli occupation, by eviction policy and annexation. Here we have more than 30,000 dunum targeted by the Israeli occupation that they want to annex it to Negev and to kick us out from here, from this area, to the city of Yatta, which is the city nearby. And this is represent the general policy that Israel is implementing and applying in West Bank, trying to kick and push out Palestinians from what's so-called Area C to Area A and B to surround us in small, big cantonats and big cities. For everyone, as everyone knows, after Oslo Accord, the Palestinian area in West Bank have been divided to Area A and B and C. Area A under the Palestinian Authority control, Area B mixed control between the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli, and Area C under the full Israeli military control, and Area C represent more than 60% of the West Bank. We have been the area started to be targeted by the beginning of the 80s. There was the settlement built illegally on our land in this area, and then targeting also our area with the firing zone area. This is another policy. To find to say that they need this area where we live to turn it to military area to train the Israeli army, so they will have the excuse inside the Israeli law to evict us from our land. We had the first crime of eviction in Musafir Yatta in 1999, which happened a brutal crime and a war crime by the Israelis when they started to raid the villages, more than 14 villages, demolishing villages, carrying Palestinians by force in trucks with their properties and throwing them out from this area. people were يعني having a lot in my area. We were just born in that period, and you know, our people started to organize a lot of work and a lot of struggle in this place to go back to the land. Army were evicting people, people were going back, army evict them again. There was a lot of work on the ground. There was a lot of work with protest, I mean, here, and actions. There was also a lot of work with media, a lot of work as well with political pressure, until in the beginning of 2000, the Israeli courts has issued an order that, on a decision that Palestinians are allowed to go back to live in their villages and to their land and to their life. So we are talking about more than 3,500 people live in this area. In different small villages. Simple people live in caves and in tents and small houses, and also based on the daily life with sheep and planting the land. We are talking about simple life of farmers, and like this way of life has been going on this land for dozens and hundreds of decades. So we grow up, and most of the people were born in these caves, and the Israeli continue to claim that we don't live here, and the Israeli claim different really stuff that has no meaning, just because they want to ethnically cleanse us from this land and from this territory. So what's going on in recently in May, the Israeli court once again, after 22 years. So in May 2022, Israeli High Court issued a decision to evict again 8 communities, 8 villages in Masafir Yatta, committing once again they insist to commit the war crime of evicting the original indigenous people from our homes and our land. We have been since then organizing a lot of work with in the ground with the protests, with weekly protests, and with also doing a lot of solidarity tents in the villages, trying to organize more and more of people to be here to try to stop this war crime, as well to have a lot of advocacy work and a lot of campaigns around to make more and more work, like in the 2000s, to make political pressure to stop this. What we see, there is not really serious action, to be honest with everyone, by the international community. As we are talking about, according to international law, we are facing a war crime by Israel, but we don't see any serious action, and the silence of the international community is making the international community partner with Israel in this crime against us. Recently now, the decision hasn't been applied since May until now yet. There was a different campaign of demolishing by the military in some of the villages. Like we talk about home demolishing, trying to make people without homes, and so to create an environment so people will have no place to stay, so people will leave. So this is the strategy they used during this past months, but it didn't work once again. We have been all the time demolished. We rebuild tents, they come again. We continue to renovate caves so people can continue to live and resist here. Besides this, we talk about now the worry has been getting more and more, because the Israeli government now has changed, which is now it's all of the Israeli government during all this more than 75 years of occupation, about 75 years of occupation, and they were all, racist governments, but this one is more than the most extremist, because now we see, for example, we have Ben Gvir, and who is a settler also in Hebron, who is a very extremist person, and we have also, for example, Smotrich, who is he's an Israeli who have a settler also, who founded one of the settler organization that we launched the campaign of Defund Racism Against. This Smotrich now is running the civil administration. He was one of the founder of the Ragavim organization, which is a racist organization based on putting more pressure inside the Israeli courts and the Israeli system to make more and more demolishing of Palestinian houses. So imagine a person who was founding this kind of organization now inside this government. What is this representing on the ground? For example, and when we talk about Ben Gvir, who is also had a lot of experience with targeting activists and dealing with activists like us, okay? And for example, 2 days ago, I had like a raid to my house by the Israeli Shabak, which is the secret army, secret police that invaded my house. Okay, just 1 second, because there is a helicopter flying here. Sorry. Sorry, there was the helicopter of the Israeli army, not was interrupting. I'm talking about now, as I said, for example, these two people who are Ben Gvir and Smotrich in this government, that's when 2 days ago the Secret Service has targeted my house, and this Israeli secret police started to threaten me for doing for my activism and my work in my place of mobilizing and resisting this occupation. So it was direct threat for me personally. If I don't stop and keep calm, that I will be in prison. As well, another activist in Hebron 1 month ago was targeted with by jail for 4 days just for filming the soldiers assaulting activists in Hebron. So we talk, this is just, I mean, like, imagine simply for our work now with this government, we are getting targeted. And with this guy of Smotrich, now we have a lot of demolition just in the period and demolishing order just from the beginning of the new year. For example, we had like now more or less weekly of raids of by the civil administration, which is so-called, that is giving demolition order. For example, Jawaya had more than 8 demolishing order in one day. That is about 1 week ago. And we talk about more demolishing that happened in Ma'in, which happened as well in the 3rd of January, when there was a house demolished, and then another 3 houses in Sheikh al-Bottom, and again the school in Sfai, in Mesafir Yatta, the school of Sfai was demolished for the 3rd time right now, and it's rebuilt again. So this government now and is getting what is the affection of it on us on the ground is very, very hardly and very difficult. Besides that, the settler violence is rising. In the 4th of January, we had in the Freedom Garden in Twani, we had more than 140 trees where they were cut down and destroyed by these settlers, and other attacks that happened. Just yesterday, also I had a call here, me and my people, Mesafir Yatta, a call with the UN Special Rapporteur in the occupied Palestinian territory. We had the call that the Special Rapporteur is prohibited by Israel from entering to Palestine since 2006, because the Special Rapporteur on OPT said about Israel is apartheid. So just saying about Israel apartheid, Israel decided to abandon and prevent the Special Rapporteur from coming here. So yesterday we had the chance with her to have live talk and to hear live testimonies from the people and from the recent situation of the full of worry here, because now with the government, this new government, we are very worried that the eviction is going to take place very soon, especially on the 2nd of January. The Palestinian Coordination Office in Yatta has received a call by the Israeli civil administration that they will demolish and start with the eviction very soon, which means that not just for the villages, they said, but it will involve others. And that's also the fear, also one of, beside the fear of the eviction in general, that most of the villages here will be destroyed and evicted. Beside that, what happened yesterday, we were with the UN Special Rapporteur detained for more than 50 minutes. We lost almost the half of the call, just detained in a checkpoint, because that we are known as activists, as I personally known in this area. So we were just targeted for no reason for more than 50 minutes, and even others like the head of the council who had to speak with her, he was detained and taken away from us, and we were detained in another spot, in the same location, but we were divided by the military. A lady also was coming from the hospital when she took her son, who was shot by the military. Also, 2 years ago, he was shot. And so in her way back, she was as well detained. So يعني really يعني we talk about that this is just I mean يعني it was I mean opportunity for the special rapporteur to live what is the daily life looks like here with this flying checkpoint all the time destroying our life from having any kind of normal life of freedom of movement from doing anything like I mean you can't live any normal day in your life without the occupation come and interrupt it even for the small thing and for the big thing. I mean, like really later, we managed to that she continued to speak and to hear more and from the people here and like really, يعني it's completely very hard and difficult situation. And like the day before yesterday, settlers started to in Hawat want to harass and attack us when we were يعني try to attack us when we were plowing the land near the settlement. Like settlers now became having more and more immunity. Usually in the past they had a lot of immunity by the Israeli police to attack and to destroy and everything, but now even they have more and more immunity to do all these things, you know, which is يعني talking يعني and proving that situation here is getting worse and worse. Like we were prevented from passing to the land yesterday, and we had like really long the day before yesterday, sorry, to we had a really long fight with the military and the settler and pushing and so, and then in the end we managed to plow almost 90% of the land here. So يعني I would like just not to take more and more of the time of the meeting and of Bana so she can speak, but really I wanted that everyone to understand and to know that what we see and what we live now in this place, it is really a nightmare which is every day, which situation is just being worse and worse, and now this government is even making it harder and harder for us, for our life and for our future, that if really يعني this eviction gonna take place. So I يعني ask everyone to be around, for example يعني to stop this settler organization which is all the time continuing to work to demolish our homes and to join our campaign of defund racism and to stop this NGOs which is called themselves charities. In the same time they practice on the ground here apartheid and racism against us, against our homes, and as well to join the campaign of defending and saving Masafar Yatta, because we say that we are يعني at any moment that we expect the bulldozer to come and start demolish our homes. We ask everyone to really to share our petitions in the website, in the links of the Defend Masafar Yatta. We ask everyone really to mobilize in his place, to make protests, to make pressure on their elected people in the parliament, to make in their countries, and also to make protest abroad. I mean, international community should intervene now and should act now. Otherwise, we really يعني sooner يعني we will resist and we will continue to exist here. But also there is a duty, there is on the international community that in this time it has to stand for Palestine and to stop this really daily misery that we live. Otherwise, this ongoing silence will continue to يعني prove that international community is a partner in Israel in this huge crime against us. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Sami. I mean, we can the urgency and I mean, and the challenges that you are facing. We will move now to Bana before we open it with questions. Bana.
Thank you very much. As always, whenever I hear Sami, I'm always very, very shocked by the constant, lack of attention to the situation of Masafar Yatta. And hopefully after today, some people will feel the need to move on this issue and to act. Before I start, I would just like to begin with a background of, how Israel is able to create the situation currently in Masafar Yatta. Now, there are several policies that Israel enacts to control Palestinian land in Area C, as Sami described after Oslo. Of course, the West Bank was divided into Area A, B, and C, and Area C is under Israeli control, unfortunately. And these policies that Israel enacts are, include declaring land nature reserve, military zones, state land, firing zones, seam zones, and so on. And those, in the case of Masafer Yatta, the case was that the land was declared a firing zone, which is basically the same as declaring a land also a military zone. When you declare land a military zone, that means you disallow any existence of civilians in that area, and of course you use that law to push for the displacement of the indigenous people living there. So in the case of Masafer Yatta, Israeli army declared the land a firing zone and gave the military power over the land to utilize it for military training, which includes obviously, calling for displacement of Palestinians. This is, of course, all enabled because of discriminate zoning and planning policies in Area C, which mainly leave Palestinians in a catch-22 situation. How does that happen? Is that Palestinians are required to have building permits. And of course, Palestinians, when they submit requests for building permits, they're denied. In fact, only 3% of building permits yearly are accepted. That's, of course, not a lot if you consider the many building permits requests that are sent to the civil administration yearly. Now what happens is that civil administration will present an order, demolition order to the communities and to the building because of the lack of a building permit. So essentially you need a building permit to stay on land, but you're denied a building permit, thus your house will be demolished. It's simple like that. But to have to not go through all of that, Israel was just like, okay, let's declare land as a firing zone, which is basically, instead of going to each house, and we're talking about thousands of homes, let's declare this land a firing zone, which basically, as retrospectively is easier for them. Essentially, these systems of laws and policies, which I call like pseudo-legalities, they allow for the emboldening of settler groups like Regevim that Sami mentioned. And Regevim is very known to target Palestinian presence and call for the displacement. So what they do is that they pressure the civil administration by monitoring, of course, Palestinian urban spaces, and they ask the civil administration and they alarm them for any new buildings, for just for Palestinian presence, and they call for the demolition of Palestinian homes and for indigenous erasure. It's very easy to, in fact, see what Regevim's history is with their work in targeting Palestinians. It's basically on their website, very easily accessible. You can see their logic, and then you can see their annexationist logic, and you can see how much of ties they have with the Israeli government currently. And what is happening, in fact, right now in Masafer Yatta is actually no short of a Nakba. The reason why is because they're not targeting homes, separate homes, or like individual homes. They're targeting the whole community. So we're talking about thousands of people, and lots of land as well. So and this is of course not receiving the proper media attention as it should, unfortunately, because recently you see people still looking back at the Safe Sheikh Jarrah and Safe Salwan, and these the media action around these causes have gotten a lot more than what it is being actually promoted and platformed about Masafer Yatta, which is actually very dangerous. We can also almost know why this is the case. And that is because, of course, Masafer Yatta is an area that is in South Hebron Hills, and it's an area even very hard to reach for normal Palestinians and for organizers and for supporters and allies who would like to be present in those areas and support these communities. So this has also given the Israeli army, more power to demolish homes without any backlash. So settler groups like Regavim, what we did in Good Shepherd Collective is that we tried to look into these groups, settler groups like Regavim, Israel Land Fund, Hebron Fund, El-Ad, and others, and we realized that they were receiving millions and millions of dollars from supposed charities in the U.S. That send them millions every year, unquestioned. And of course, these are tax deductible, and including, money that is given to organizations that are currently displacing people in Silwan, and the Salam family, including Israel Land Fund, who's has great ties with Ben Gvir and Smotrich as well, who Sami, of course, mentioned before. So these groups, in fact, are these charities, supposed charities, are financing this Nakba, and the fact that they're still able to have their charitable status in the US and other countries as well is very questionable and of course, very alarming. As Sami, of course, explained, the current government as well is emboldening such settler organizations because, as you know, the current finance minister, who's also aiming to be the defense minister, Bezalel Smotrich, also co-founded Regavim. And then Ben Gvir, his, right hand, is also a Kahanist terrorist group, a supporter and right-wing lawyer. He was appointed as the Minister of National Security. If that doesn't, alarm people enough, he's one that called for the annexation of the West Bank. And these people are forming the current fascist government. Not to say that previous governments were any better, but these two will not need to have to use pseudo-legalities or any of these policies. They will just directly displaced Palestinians, and they've been, heard saying that they call for the Nakba and that they are scrutinizing previous Israeli leaders for not enacting the Nakba properly. And so Smotrich, in fact, the fascist leader, he supported the Hilltop Youth, who are, known to commit violence against Palestinians, including in Masafer Yatta, and they've, terrorized a lot of farmers and a lot of people. What they do, of course, they go in, they're known as Hilltop Youth because what they do is that they appear around hilltops and then they terrorize farmers and Palestinians with weapon and of course, kids and children as well. And it's expected, of course, as Smotrich currently, one supporting such group, that being the finance minister, that this group will continue to be financed and supported by him. So this is also a way where these settler organizations like Regavim, like Hilltop Youth, are being emboldened and, in fact, visibly supported by the government. And of course, these groups will continue doing their violent activities. We're expecting for this to become even worse if nothing really happens to support the situation and support the Palestinian groups and their presence. Now, the Defund Racism campaign, in fact, was born out of the need to stop this flow of money, this funding of these groups. And it's more urgent now because, we need to undermine the likes of, Regavim, like the likes of Atirat Kahanim, El-Had, and others in their constant commitment to carry Israel's colonial expansionist motives. So these, the Defund Racism campaign, in fact, was born out of this, keen to need to expose these organizations and what they truly are, but also to try to stop the flow of money to these groups. and this is why the urgency to join the Defund Racism campaign at the moment is more than ever. These Zionist organizations are in fact waiting the green light to reenact the Nakba, and the fact that this is happening and is so near, is also again alarming. This is evident nowadays because, as Sami has been saying, there's a constant and more than ever rise of harassment of settlers, Palestinians, particularly in Masafer Yatta. And this is also important that we tackle this system. How do we tackle this system? The Defund Racism campaign, you can also visit the website. I hope Ryan can perhaps insert the link. That the website in fact has enough information about these settler organizations, has enough information how to join this Defund Racism campaign, and how do we wish to tackle the system that finances these organizations and that allows charities in the US and other countries to continue to finance these organizations with large amount of monies, that goes without questioning. And this needs to stop as soon as possible, because the current government will do its best to embolden and to support these organizations. And before I finish, I think many allies in the West, in fact, do continue to believe in the power of solidarity. But nowadays, even the nearest upcoming visit of the ICC prosecutor to the occupied territory, which is supposed to happen this year, it is making people feel a bit hesitant, because the fact that it makes no sense that despite this being an important step for civil society, that despite the ICC prosecutor willingness to come here, that Israel still feels emboldened and supported to continue these policies of displacement currently in the case of Masafer Yatta. So even with the power of international law that we always held on so dearly, Israel doesn't really care, and it's continuing. And look at the current government that really doesn't care about even any international community action towards it. But also the international community is not really acting, and the international community continues to allow this Israeli impunity and its ability to enact the Nakba, unfortunately currently happening in Masafer Yatta. So just so that if people haven't or aren't following the Good Shepherd Collective and Youth of Sumud Twitter, I urge you to do so. Youth of Sumud are one of these smaller organizations that are currently growing and currently, working to defend Masafer Yatta, and they're doing it alone, and they should not be doing it alone. Their social media is, of course, always active. They're always posting about what's happening in Masafer Yatta and updating on news and actions also to help support the people of Masafer Yatta. And then you can also, if you are keen to support, you can also use the hashtag Defend Masafer Yatta and Defund Racism, and go on the websites, of course, and see what you can do, or you can possibly do to stop these settler organizations from reenacting the Nakba again. Thank you.
Thank you, Bana, and literally you have left us speechless. Thank you very much for describing how terrible the situation is, and it's very upsetting. I see that. I mean, it's in many cases, and I think I speak on behalf of many people. Many people feel that there isn't. We understand that there's a need to work, and some of us try to do it here and there. And sometimes we look for leadership, and it's amazing when the leadership is coming from young people, especially the people on the ground, but also people like you, Bana. We're going now to move into questions and answers. So I think it's better if both you and Sami remain unmuted, that would help us.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, it's usually Israel announces terrible plans and they try them, and sometimes they get, I mean, they get they implement the plans, and sometimes not, or the plans get postponed. What's your advice on how can we really coordinate the work, different organizations, different movements? Many people I know, many organizations have been on the ground in 20, and 20 has received attention. How can we be like, it's like specific tasks? What would you recommend, either Sami or Bana, that we do?
I'd like to answer that quickly by saying that I think the reason why things haven't been moving much on Masafer Yatta is because organizations who are keen to do something about what's happening aren't really tackling the main issue. The main issue is not really like saying, oh, the Israeli government is declared this a firing zone, this is terrible, let's do something. It's to look at the source of the issue. The source of the issue is settler organizations. The source of the issue is also settler organization being supported by Western institutions and also supposed charitable organizations with charitable status. And these organizations should not have charitable status. That includes, Regavim as well, who all, of course, receive this money from these organizations and are targeting the people of Masafer Yatta. I suggest people to be brave and join the Defund Racism campaign. I suggest organizations to seek us, the Good Shepherd Collective, and ask us what we can do together. I believe there are plenty of stuff that we can do together to stop these charitable institutions in your own countries as well. So people who aren't physically able to be in Palestine to support these, to have their physical presence in Masafer Yatta, they can also have something to do about the situation.
We have a question in the chat. People are asking, what's the population of all of the communities in Masafer Yatta, Palestinian population?
Sorry, again, can you? Yeah.
What is the population of the Palestinians in Masafer Yatta in the different communities?
Sami, would you like to answer that? I'm not sure exactly how many people live there. I think Sami's just needs to be unmuted. He doesn't.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what, but I think it's easily Googleable, I would say, if I'm not wrong. Hopefully, that didn't anger the person who asked the question.
Is there? Do you have an understanding where most of the illegal Israeli settlers are coming from? Are they coming like from specific countries, or like the US or specific European countries, or they're just like random people?
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting question. They do not come from only a specific place, but recently a lot of settlers from the US have been coming because of these settler organizations. So these settler organizations don't just pressure the civil administration or the Israeli government to demolish Palestinian houses. They also bring settlers physically to settle in land. So that we're talking about the groups that receive the most money are groups that have charities that support them in the US. So we can say also a lot of the settlers are currently coming are from the US, as many of you know.
Or funded from the
very
US.
famous Yaakov, being from New York, and New York settlers. I don't know what emboldens them or what invites them to do so, but it's mostly the settler organizations that want to have more settlers, and they just happen to have the money coming in from the US.
Yeah, I mean, it is Friday, I was on a tour into Hebron and going from Bethlehem to Hebron. And we went to Masafir Yatta, to Umm al-Khair. And actually, we came across one of the settlements that it's interestingly that most of the people who live in it, not entirely, but the majority are actually Ukrainian Jews who just moved into the country or refugees. The idea that they were fleeing, you know, it is a Russian invasion coming into, you know, invading they themselves a different country. I don't know if they know that this is occupied territories or take care. Sami, are you, Sami, we have a question about what's, it's actually two questions. The first question that we'd like to ask you is what's the population of the entire communities in Masafir Yatta, Palestinians? And if the, yes.
Sorry, and I have problem with the internet thing, so I lost the call. Sorry again. So Masafir Yatta, it's about 3,500 people. This is the population of the people in Masafir Yatta. About
Palestinians, yes.
the other. Yes, Palestinian. Okay, about the other question we had in the beginning, I would like to add to what Bana said, that it's a part of the, you have to know that again, this is what's happening in Masafir Yatta. It's part of the settler colonization of Palestine and part of the ongoing Nakba against Palestinian. Part of the ongoing Nakba, because what's going on here, it is that I told you in the beginning that we have also settlements in Masafir Yatta, and also this settlement, for example, are in the firing zone area. So these settlements and these settlers, everyone has to understand, these settlers are not facing any threat. So what we need all to know that they are using different excuses to evict the people in Masafir Yatta with firing zone and all this stuff in order to bring settlers in the place of the Palestinian and ethnically cleanse us from here. So the total identity will be removed and deleted, and we will be replaced by settler if this happen. And what is so the root of the problem? It is the settler colonial project of Palestine. So definitely, the first action that can be taken is to stop these settlers and this settler organization from keeping on with this work and with this racist behaviors that it's done here under the charity title. They all should be shut down, and they all should be boycotted, and we hope foxes to take action to defend racism. Direct requests and for people as well, as I said, to do really a lot of pressure in politicians, because political pressure is one of the reasons to stop and one of the ways to stop the eviction and the crime from happening. So again, it's pressure from different countries will make this crime stop from happening. Besides this, the Defend Masafir Yatta campaign, which is also for people, for example, in the US, could message their Congress members to take action for Masafir Yatta.
And all of this information, we've sent some of this information, but I think it is important that you send us again this information so that we send it to the bigger email list with the specific tasks that we're asking people to do. And maybe we could dedicate more time. So on a weekly level, I think it is the urgency of Masafir Yatta needs us together maybe multiple times and just do non-violent actions at specific times to defend, to do the work that needs to be done.
Okay, yeah, we have. Yes, also we have the work in the ground, that even people who can and who want, they can definitely come on the ground, join the work, join the activity, the protest, all the stuff that's been happening here, and as well to help us in social media to make more and bigger storm of the situation, which is not getting, even so we say there's attention, but really it's not the real need attention. It should be really more and more. And then the other question was about who is the settler that are, for example, in my area. Yeah, settler come from different places. There is from Texas, there's from New York, there's from South Africa, there's from different countries from around the world.
Sami,
yeah.
So it has been reported that Lord Ahmad from the UK Foreign Minister on the Middle East desk He visited Masafir Yatta last week. Are you aware of his visit, or did you follow any of the, or do you have an understanding of what was his thought?
Okay, since since May of 2022 until this moment, we have different people that and different politicians, different European Union parliament member, Europeans, the European Union head of mission Palestine. They came, they visited Masafir Yatta out of consuls and diplomats. All these visits, really sadly, as I said before, they went down here, they listened to the stories, they saw the really the bad of this bad situation, and really then it's just all the time that they are full, they say in Twitter, full of worry of what's coming here, and you know, we hear words, you know, we didn't see until now. It's all, we're getting close to a year now, and we don't really see any action from all those people that came to visit, even the UK people or any other countries.
And you addressed it to a certain extent, but could you add a little bit more on the UN reporter that yesterday spoke on Zoom, that had a meeting on Zoom?
Yeah, the call was supposed to happen for 2 hours long. The special rapporteur, once again, she's prohibited for the location, who will be in this location of the special rapporteur for occupied Palestinian territory since 2006 is prohibited by Israel from coming to Palestine. So this is and the only way was to connect, and that they can they usually do the reports, and they already published one report about Masafir Yatta, and now they are publishing again another report about the detention and the arrest, and as well the situation right now of what's going on here. So she needs really to hear from the people in Masafir Yatta, from personal experience of what is people are living, what people are facing. She wanted their live testimonies, and it was Baba and from activists as well, like me and others. And as I said before, we were detained in my village in a checkpoint by the Israelis. We lost more than 50 minutes. Even I was saying that here we are with the special rapporteur, and the Israelis don't care at all. And they just kept stopping us without any really reason or anything. But I said again, we managed in the end to make most of the people to talk to her and see what more pressure and more work she can do. And she's all the time trying to do her best, but all the time people who act like her in her situation, they also continue to be targeted by the Jewish lobby, that it's anti-Semitic or something like that. So also she's in a very difficult situation, that even when she tried to speak the truth of the situation of what we face and what we live, she got targeted and attacked. And it's a time that really we should support, everyone should support her and support her work. She is called Francesca Albanese. You will find her on Twitter, and you can really give a support and a push for the work she is doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. We have received. I mean, we're running out of time. We try our best not to exceed 1 hour, but I think it's what's very important is that we have received the news that that there's an urgency and a need for attention to target Masafir Yatta. So I mean, I'm leaving it. This is as the last question. Hebron is getting. I mean, there's a lot of alternative tourism or people solidarity visits are coming, and there's a high increase in Jewish groups who are visiting Hebron. Progressive groups, groups that pay attention to justice. Are you also getting Jewish and Israeli groups in Masafir Yatta, or it's different from than Hebron?
Yes, in Masafir Yatta there is activists who are Jewish and Israelis who are anti-Zionists, who are coming and working in Masafir Yatta, who I personally anti-Zionists that I work with, and they joined the work and the protest we do and activities we do here.
Any final word from your side, Bana? Bana?
Thank you. Yes, I would like to just, because I feel like that question just was really important. Someone was asking about whether like this can also invite settlers to move in, even though it's a firing zone, people shouldn't be there. Yes, in fact, it happened with nature reserves, it happened with seam zones, it happened everywhere. Settlers really have the power, or if they need to create settlements, they just would, and they're supported by Israel to do so. So it's not out of nowhere. The goal is in fact to create settlements, and this is just one way that they achieve this goal is by creating and then declaring land as like firing zone or nature reserve, or a land dictated for a wall building for the wall. But these are excuses, in fact, to build settlements. So in fact, it's not a crazy thing. It happens all the time, and it happened mostly in areas in the Jerusalem periphery. And yeah, just wanted to say that I don't have like a very public social media, but I will create one and share it with you. I am sure a lot of people wanted to have my Twitter in the chat. And thank you also everyone for being here and for listening to what's happening. Of course, there's an urgency because nobody wants to see the Nakba happening again, and it is happening, although slowly, but it is happening. And we must do something about it. But even if you're not physically in Palestine, you can do something about it. Please join the Defund Racism campaign, sign our current petition in the website, and look forward to our action points that will be published hopefully soon. Thank you.
And definitely, I can guarantee you that's the spirit of Sabil, Kumi also. We're going to organize a special action and violent action that we'll do it online so that we can all engage in the media. Today there was 100. I think we can be 200 people and just send out emails and expose or to continue to educate the communities that we belong to about what's happening in Masaf Riyadh. Bana and Sami, I want to thank you very much. We leave this meeting more aware, more conscious about what's happening, more troubled, but we're also very confident that together we can make a change. So we'll meet again. That's a promise, and we'll do a difference. That's another promise. See you again, friends, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.